Size and sectors. So size and sectors are two of the main ways that equities are classified. And let's start with size. So the main three sizes of stocks that you may be researching are the large caps, the mid caps, and the small caps. Now this is important because the smaller the company, in general, the more risky it is in your portfolio. So small caps are riskier than large caps. However, that doesn't mean you don't want to have all large caps and no small caps, because there could be some situations where, let's say over a 3 or 6 month timeline, that large caps they could be down and small caps could actually be up during that time. So this could be good for you, because if you have a blend of them, then that can in effect stabilize some of your portfolio, and which would be really good, especially potentially during your retirement income phase, because you're trying to get more stability. So just because something like a mid cap and a small cap is riskier than a large cap doesn't mean you should necessarily shy away from them. In actuality, I like to have all three represented in the portfolio if possible. Now this isn't maybe okay for everybody, but in general I do kind of like to look at having all three represented on some level, just for diversification and to spread the money around, and because the different sizes are kind of moving around at different times. But a large cap is anything over 10 billion, a mid cap is from 2 to 10 billion, and a small cap has a net worth of under 2 billion. But again, just because small caps are risky doesn't mean you should necessarily shy away from them. But this is just one of the ways that equities are classified, is based on their size. All right, so the second way is the sector that they're in. And the US stock market currently has 11 major sectors, and most stocks generally fit into the categories that they're supposed to. So a few of these are like banking stocks are going to fit into the financial sector, energy stocks are going to fit into the energy sector, real estate stocks are in the real estate sector. So most of them are pretty easy to understand. Some of them get a bit hard to categorize, like let's say Amazon. Amazon is technically listed as a consumer discretionary stock. Now consumer discretionary is usually like your retail stocks, like any retail stores you may go to. But Amazon's actually been investing a lot in their technology, so some people would be surprised that it's not a tech stock. And they're also recently buying grocery stores, so grocers tend to be consumer defensive stocks, because no matter what the economy is doing, people got to buy their groceries. So that's why consumer defensive is different than consumer discretionary. So if you have discretion, if you have extra income, then you can choose to buy something or not at retail. You can choose to buy a new pair of shoes at, like, say, Nike, which is also a discretionary stock, but you may not be able to choose to buy your groceries. So grocers tend to be defensive. So something like Amazon may be hard to kind of fit into the different categories, but for the most part, most of them fit pretty well, kind of where they're supposed to. So another thing that I want to point out with sectors is why something could be going maybe up or down, because different sectors kind of move in and out of favor depending on what the macro economy is doing. So let's take stocks from different sectors. So let's say we got Bank of America and Apple. So Apple's in the tech sector, Bank of America is in the financial sector, and let's say Bank of America is going down and Apple's going up. That doesn't mean that Apple is a great stock and that Bank of America is a terrible stock. It could be that the macroeconomy is just causing all financial stocks to temporarily go down, and it's doing something to cause a lot of tech stocks to go up. So you could have Bank of America going down, but it could be actually outperforming its peers. So it could be doing better than maybe Wells Fargo or Citibank, even though it's going down. So it's outperforming its peers, or it could be, which could be a good thing, even though in real terms, it's still going down, where Apple's maybe still going up. So when you're comparing the performance of certain stocks and sectors, it's important to compare it to its peers and maybe not to stocks that are kind of outside of its sector, because macroeconomic trends are going to cause these to cycle at different times. And if you have different ones represented in your portfolios, different sectors, different stocks from different sectors represented in your portfolio, then again, they're all going to be cycling at different times, which could help stabilize and diversify your overall account, which could be good, again, for retirement income if you're trying to keep it relatively more stable. So something like the S&P 500, which takes 500 biggest companies in the US, the S&P 500, that's going to have stocks represented from all of the sectors in it. It's kind of overweight in things like tech and healthcare and consumer discretionary, but it still has stocks from all the different sectors embedded in it. If you just had some type of index, then you get a little bit of representation from everything. But if you're doing it yourself and picking and choosing, it's important to, I think, have representation from stocks in large cap, mid cap, and small cap, and representation from stocks in many of the 11 different sectors, because again, they're going to be ebbing and flowing at different times, and you don't want to be stuck at the low point and having everything in the same basket where everything's kind of going down at the same time. So those are just two of the ways that stocks can be differentiated. But I hope that made sense, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the next few lessons on equities.